All righty. Well, thank you guys for coming. My name is John Tenney. I am the coordinator for the Vermont Returnship Program. And the program is operated by Associates for Training and Development. Okay, I'm going to let somebody else in here. Just give Tom a minute to get connected. All right, good morning, Tom. Good timing, we're just about to start here.
Morning.
So as I was saying, if you'd like to come on camera, that would be wonderful. It's always nice to see faces.
On a webinar.
Good morning, Phil. Thanks for joining us. Good morning, Tom.
Morning.
All righty. So the organization that I'm with is Vermont Associates for Training and Development, which is a mouthful. So we often refer to it as A4TD. And we have been in the business of helping people get back to work for almost 40 years. We've had a variety of different programs that are typically grant funded, and our biggest program, the one that we've been running for the whole duration, is called CSEP, Senior Community Service Employment Program. Just to give you some background here. It's a program designed to help people over 55 get back to work through training. We pair them up with an organization that
Bill, I think you need to move yourself.
training opportunity. So it seems like maybe there's some feedback. Let's see. Phil, would you mind muting your microphone? See if maybe that's where the feedback is coming from. Okay. All right, great. Yeah, I want this to be an interactive session where you can feel free to jump in and ask questions. I've never heard that particular kind of feedback before. It sounds like Mickey Mouse. So if you do want to jump in, feel free, and then after, please go back to muting. So getting back to my spiel there, we've been helping people get back to work for a long time. And our focus has always been workforce development, mostly with seniors. So this returnship program is fairly new. All right. So today's topic is reverse engineering the job search. The idea being we're going to take a look at the job search, kind of flip it on its head and tear it apart to look at some of the components and figure out, maybe that would be a way to better understand it and maybe have some different perspectives on it and some more success. So I'm going to share a PowerPoint here. Hopefully it won't be death by PowerPoint, but there we go. All righty. So are you folks seeing Vermont Returnship Program slide? Okay, cool. All right, so building a better mousetrap. Manufacturers are always looking at their competition's products and studying them and trying to figure out how they work, how to make them better. So we're going to look at the job search and figure out, okay, how can we do it better? How can we reverse engineer the job search? So we'll look at a good job search strategy backwards, and then look at the various components. All right, so we're flipping this whole thing on its head. Let's imagine that you've already landed the job, and you're at your 6-month review, and the review's gone fabulous because when you were in the job interview, you asked the question, when we get to the 6-month review, what's it going to take for you guys to give me a fantastic review because I've done, a great job? And they might say, okay, well, you need to learn these systems, or you need to become proficient in piece software, or develop the skill and really prove, maybe it's fantastic customer service. So the point being that, months ago, you put in the work, you asked the question, what is success going to look like? And that shows a couple of things. It shows them that you are invested, you're thinking ahead and about, what success is going to be with this company. And it shows you're committed. So the interview went fantastic because you prepared and you showed why they should hire you. So for a successful interview, you need to understand the company, the position that they're looking to fill, and be able to communicate how you can contribute and meet their needs. We want to be prepared with examples of good answers to the most common questions, examples about how you may have handled situations that are going to come up in that kind of role. So this is just a general quick review of the components, and we'll delve deeper into these things. So the reason you got that interview is because you had a great portfolio. And you have done the research to develop this resume, cover letter, maybe certificates or whatever. So the portfolio is the lure that's going to catch your fish. It's you've done a good job. You've highlighted your skills, your character. You showed motivation and how you're a great match for this position. And you've taken each key point from the job listing and said, okay, they're looking for this, and I'm showing them, how I match that. Each of those points line up. And you were able to get a great portfolio because, in part, because of networking. You've made some good connections. Maybe you've talked to people who actually work there and found out some of the secrets, the secret sauce of what this company is all about. I think the networking is often an underutilized aspect, but a lot of times there are jobs that aren't even advertised, and through networking you can find out about some of those things, and insights into the company that you otherwise wouldn't have. Things like LinkedIn can help you connect with people and make useful contacts. A lot of times even, LinkedIn is a good way for recruiters to reach out to you. My son is now working at Tesla, and he was recruited because he had his information up. I don't know if it was maybe on Indeed. So networking can be a really useful part that I think a lot of people ignore. Oops, sorry. And the whole thing really starts with research. It'll help you identify your best prospects for employment, understand who's hiring, how you can apply your current skills in a new position, and find useful resources. Okay, so the point here is that each of these components was successful because we did the work in the previous step to set ourselves up for success. Okay, so now let's dig in a little bit to the different aspects. Research. If you want to find gold, you got to know where to dig. Doing research in the end can actually help you save time. Focus on what's going to be most useful to you to gain success, and help you to be informed so you can speak intelligently about the position, about the company, about the field that you're in. Okay, so where to search? There's just a ton of information out there. It could be magazines or industry journals, articles about the company websites, reviews about the company, for example, through Glassdoor, and we'll actually look at some of these websites. All right, so where have you guys looked as far as doing research on jobs and companies? What have you utilized before?
Primarily, excuse me, I've been primarily networking on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
I find that it has kind of like in general, most people are on there. Ooh, there's the feedback again. However, I've also utilized Glassdoor. And I have this one that I've been meaning to check out. I have not yet, but I think it's like specific to like the tech industry. It's like, I can't remember what it's called, but that is next on my list to kind of peruse and start getting active with.
Okay, great.
Do you hear the noise now?
What kinds of things have you found specifically that were useful to you, Emily?
I mean, I really like setting up job filters, and on LinkedIn, on Glassdoor, you can set like job alerts for specific types of jobs or industries or companies. So it starts actually serving you like opportunities to apply for. I really like that aspect. And then, of course, on LinkedIn specifically, you have the opportunity to reach out to people who are within the company currently, and hopefully, at least like get your name in their ear.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to mute myself while you guys are talking, so we don't get that squeaky feedback. Phil or Tom, do you guys have other ideas of places that you've found useful to do research?
Now? I'm sorry, do you hear the squeak now?
No, I don't.
No, I think you fixed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got different settings on my computer for the microphone. I used Indeed.com, and I've also used the U.S. Department of Labor website, which is state specific.
Yeah.
Sometimes I find the interface confusing, and like if you search on one thing, you get too many results, and so it's hard to filter it down. And then I just moved to Vermont 2 months ago, but when I was living in New York, I would go to job fairs, but sometimes they were specific to a particular type of work, like standing all day in a factory, and I'm too old for that.
Mm-hmm.
And also search, as some of your points are researching on the internet.
Okay, good. Anything different for you, Tom?
No, not really. ZipRecruiter, Indeed, LinkedIn, Glassdoor.
Yeah.
I find that reaching out to people on LinkedIn they're just like, oh yeah, just apply, or like, I don't know you. So it's kind of
Yeah.
just hit or miss with that.
Okay. Yeah.
Definitely hit or miss.
Yeah. And yeah, I get a lot of emails because I've set up alerts or, filters through those websites.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
that's pretty much it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, certainly the ones that I hear most about, Indeed, LinkedIn, Glassdoor. Okay. So let's see here.
What is that tech website you were talking about, Emily?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. I have it saved somewhere in this like massively disorganized bookmark folder. So I'm just kind of like clicking through, but
Okay. When you find it, just jump in.
yeah,
and
I'll
let
share
us
it when
know.
I remember the name or when I locate it.
So another thing to think about is where to search, but also what info to look for. Things like, do the company's values match yours? Is it growing, stable? What's the atmosphere like? So those are some of the things that you might want to be looking at. So I've got a PDF of the slides, and at the end there is a listing of all the links that I refer to and you might find useful. So I'm going to stop sharing this and jump over to the Vermont Department of Labor website.
Oh yeah, that's another one I use too.
Okay, good. Let's see if I get the right screen here. So is that showing up on your screen? Okay, cool. Normally I have two screens. Today I'm down to one. So Vermont Department of Labor, they've got, again, tons and tons of information on here, some more useful than others. So if you're unemployed, you might find that link here as well. So there's a lot of stuff, but I'll show you a couple of different things. All right, so we have Tamar Bouchard is joining us. She's just probably going to hang out in the background. She is our programs director. Okay, so on the left-hand side, we've got calendar of events. And that will show you, the different workshops and webinars and things that they've got coming up. So let's see, today is the 22nd. So if I click on that, they sort of have standing workshops, resume writing, interview skills, getting back to work, reemployment. But they'll also often list if there are job fairs on here. So you may find that useful. One of the other things is, let me go back. The Vermont job link is state specific. So I don't know if you use that, but you can put in a resume here or just come in to do a job search. So it's like any other job board, but it is state specific. So pretty much all the jobs are going to be in Vermont or very close by. And they'll also be listing most of the state jobs here as well. Anybody use this one? Yeah, okay. So if you're in a situation where you are collecting unemployment, they do require that you be registered here and, turn in job searches, or at least that's the way it used to be. I don't know if they've made any changes. So Phil, what do you have a specific area of job search, particular field that you're looking for?
Well, I used to be a computer programmer. I worked on what they call big iron, large computers, but that was 20 years ago. So when I lived in New York, I worked for a mediation office for the New York court system. I basically did clerical work. So I'm familiar with some computer software, accounting software. I've worked in accounts payable for a hospital. And so I'm not looking to be a programmer again because the learning curve is enormous from what I used to know to what's out there today.
Things have changed.
Yes, changed a lot. Yeah. The best analogy is it's like having a doctor be an expert in 20 different fields and, taking 75 years of college to get that to that extent. I'm just not ready for that.
Okay. So, with a lot of the different job search function or sites, you can put in your keywords and set location and how far you want to travel. Very similar to that. Another website that I wanted to bring up was Career One Stop. So this is the national it's a federal
That's the one I was referring to, the Department of Labor. I think
okay.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So this has, again, a lot of different stuff. So in addition to, help with job search, it's got specific things that might be useful to people who are, either looking for a career change, or maybe if you're over 55, they'll have various helpful information there. If you're exploring careers, they have a lot of information about what skills you might need, what salaries you could expect. There are some assessments that you can take. And I haven't delved into that. It might be just interest surveys, to help you clarify, okay, where should I focus my interest in, so if I'm thinking about going into a particular field, does that line up? So does my interest seem to line up with what the skills are needed in that field? That's funny. I took a, sorry, go ahead, Phil.
I'm sorry, they changed the website. There's a lot more to it than there used to be.
Yeah, they're always making changes here.
Yeah.
So I remember one time I applied for a job and they had me take an assessment. It was for computer programming, and the assessment gave me a very low score, but yet I wound up doing computer programming later on. So it isn't always cut and dried, but again.
Yeah, some of those assessments are ridiculous.
Yeah, it's more intended as a guideline or check. So if you take one of these interest surveys and it says you're terrible on interacting with people, and you're thinking you want to go into customer service, well, okay, let's maybe dig into that a little bit deeper. So it can be useful, but the idea is it's more of a guideline than, something that's written in stone. So they've got things like, what are the highest paying jobs? What are the jobs with the most growth? So if you're thinking, if you're going into the computer field, web development is huge, but there may be different aspects like the user experience portion versus the back end and database development, that sort of thing. So they have a lot of information there on that. So I know several of you have mentioned Glassdoor. Have you used that as well, Phil? Okay, so you're all familiar with that. All right.
Yeah. There's also Monster. If you're in the technical area, monster.com.
Okay. One of the things that I like about Glassdoor is, you can review a company and so get real reviews from people who have actually worked there, giving their honest opinions.
Mm.
Okay. So while we're talking about where, we can also talk a little bit more about the what to look for. Are there any specific companies that you folks have looked at, have been interested in, or currently interested in? Okay. I'm just going to put in physicians computer company. There we go. So these folks do pediatric software. It sounds like a pretty good company. I mean, we've got some pretty good reviews overall. They're getting a score of 4.1.
Mm.
Yeah, I applied there.
Oh, is that right? Okay. So I did it one time too.
They didn't hire me.
Okay. Yeah, they didn't hire me either.
You can always just reapply though, right? I mean,
Yeah, I've applied to this one job like 20 times.
oh no.
It's so annoying to see it still posted because I know I'm at least kind of qualified and I don't even get an email or a phone call. I just keep applying because.
Well, what would be
Why not?
interesting,
Well,
if
have you that's an opportunity where you can try and find someone on LinkedIn. I don't know if you've been able to contact anyone that works there.
Yeah, that's true.
well, the other thing
Just find someone. You can either try and find like a recruiter or a manager, or even just someone that works in the department that has like the same job title and say like, hey, I'm trying to get this job.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Awesome. Emily, you should be doing this webinar.
it would be nice if they give some description of the job itself, because you don't want to apply for jobs that, like there are 8 things in the job and one of them you just can't do, and you realize that your talents aren't fit for that. It's not a good fit. So they should give you information on what the job description, so you can see if you fit into it.
Mhm. Yeah,
Well,
and
there is-
sometimes, you can reach out to people if you get as far as an interview and they don't select you. One of the things that you might do is ask, do you have any suggestions, or is there a specific reason why you passed me over? And they might not give you the time of day, but they might give you some suggestions.
We found other candidates that more closely meet our needs.
Yes, that's okay. So
That's what they'll say.
You know, that is probably the typical answer. But you could maybe you could rephrase it. What specific areas should I improve upon or strengthen to, you know?
Yeah,
So,
it's worth asking, but
Yeah.
that's the response I get.
okay, yeah, yeah. One other thing I wanted to show, let's see, as far as research. Okay, so Vermont Business Magazine has a their top 100. So
Oh,
if you're looking for some of the best companies, every year they publish this top 100. So if any of these are in your area of interest, or geography, or, you know, a company that might have need for your skill set, that's a good place to start.
What's the criteria for this list?
That I don't know. There's some sort of voting process. I haven't dug into it that deeply, but
It's not
Yeah,
just
because-
revenue.
Yeah, is it
No.
revenue? Is it like
Oh.
worker satisfaction? Is it like earning potential? Like I'm just curious. Maybe it probably says in the article above, right? I'll read that later.
oh yeah, it probably
yeah,
goes
I
in.
think they take into account worker satisfaction as
Yeah.
at least one of the criteria.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, if everybody's going on strike, they're probably not going to make the list.
Probably not.
Okay. So other things, you might look at bios on the executives who run it, dig into their information, see, are they ethical? Do they seem to be decent people? You could read the mission statement. Does that seem like it lines up with what you're hoping for, your values? And if you can talk to employers or employees who work there, you know, get the honest scoop, right? So, I mean, you can get some of that through Glassdoor or Indeed, but there's nothing like sitting down with a cup of coffee or beer and you know, really chatting somebody up and finding out the ins and outs of the company. Other things you might think of, do you see yourself fitting in? Do you feel like you could really contribute to this company? And does the salary seem to be suitable? Are there any other things that you folks consider or look at when you're you know, researching a company or field, things that are important to you?
Sometimes just doing a search on Google, because sometimes you're not sure if all the comments on some websites are, you know, you just do some outside search. You search on it and see what other things you can dig up, either good or bad, but get an idea about the company.
Okay. So looking at this list, is there anything that stands out here that, you know, for you would be, oh boy, you know, that's one of the top things that I want to know?
I mean, obviously compensation is like pretty important.
Yes.
We want to make sure that, you know, you feel that that's appropriate.
Mhm.
I think that company culture is pretty important to me specifically. I want to make sure that it's a company that like really values people
Mhm.
more than just like the bottom line, because I've been in environments like that and it's kind of like soul crushing, to be honest. So
Yeah. Yeah.
to me that's pretty high. I mean, that might not be true for everybody, but for me, I really want to make sure that like They have initiatives for, you know, things like equity and equality, and that they will, that there's career pathways like upward mobility, because I don't want to get stuck in a position that I don't like for like, and then not have any like room for professional development.
Right, right.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, being an older worker, the advancement would be less of an issue. But like you say, one of the things that I would really be interested in is the company culture.
Right, yeah.
I would see, do you see fitting in?
Mhm.
You know, feeling, what, you know, getting up in the morning and wanting to go to work, and not feeling dread or anything.
Right.
Yes.
Oh no, not another day. You know?
Lord, take me now.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've sort of referenced networking, and you know, I've mentioned that I think it's really underutilized. So how can you build your network? Who knows who? So you start with what you've got, and you know, build out from there. The more people you talk to, you know, the better chances are of finding somebody or connecting with somebody who, you know, can get you that information that you're looking for, or, you know, an introduction or whatever. We've mentioned social media, LinkedIn, Facebook. You know, so it's really about starting with what you've got and just talking to people. Hey, I'm looking for this. Do you know anybody? Or do you know somebody who works at X company? Have you used informational meetings? You know, taking somebody out to coffee, or asking to, you know, have a 15-minute sit down to learn about a company or industry? Is that something that any of you have done at this point? No.
Years ago,
Yeah.
but I don't know anybody to, you know, to tap on the shoulder.
Okay. So I think about the, you've heard of the game 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon? So familiar? Okay. You know,
Yeah.
so, you can do that in your own circle. All right. So I know this person who, okay, who what connections can I make to get over to, you know, XYZ company? So tomorrow you come on screen. Did you have a thought about networking?
Well, I just wanted to say that I'm sorry, I had a fight with a water pump this morning, so
Oh, no.
I apologize for my drenched appearance. I've actually had really good success with informational interviews. You have to be kind of brave. If you know somebody already who's in a company, that goes a long way. You know, the networking thing is important, but it's much easier if you kind of know somebody. Like, you don't have to know them well. They can be an acquaintance. They can be somebody that you like, you've interacted with, that you like, and you think what they're doing is really cool. And if you frame it that way, sometimes you can have a conversation that leads somewhere surprising, you know. But it's really about just having them see you as a person and not a piece of paper with a bunch of stats on it, you know. And Phil, I was thinking about your old programming experience. Do you have any C+ experience?
No, I worked in a language that's not even used anymore.
Okay, like COBOL or something?
Well, no, COBOL, actually more computers in the world use COBOL than any other language, the big computer. But no, I use what they call Business Basic, and it's diminished terribly. You know.
Yeah. Just wondering, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
But just, think about that. And, sometimes when you open yourself up to that idea, like opportunities happen. Have you ever had that happen? Like you think about something you want to do, and then somebody says something, you're like, oh, you know what? We were just talking about that the other day. And then, it leads you in a direction where you can go farther. So, it's more just opening yourself up to opportunities that are not just, keyboard warrioring the application process, which is really easy to do. And it's also very frustrating. I heard what you said, Tom, about the job openings that never get filled. That's a real thing. A lot of companies do that. They just have a posting.
Yeah.
They have no intention of filling it unless they find a purple unicorn. And it's very frustrating when you're perfectly qualified to do that job, and there's no reason why you can't do that job.
Yeah. They're just fishing.
And it just sits there, and they just say no thank you to you over and over, which is, I used to work at dealer.com. And I think that happened to me 3 or 4 times. And I did the same as you. I just kept applying.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's a bad idea, because they say it takes 7 times for somebody to see a message or to hear a name or a product or whatever for it to get like ingrained in the brain. So, keep applying, just don't put your eggs in that basket. And then, if it pops up, great. And if you meet somebody who can give you a step in to put a face to a piece of paper, awesome and better. So anyway, there's my spiel. Sorry about that.
No,
Didn't mean
thank
to
you.
take the whole floor.
Thank you. Great insight.
Thank you.
Yeah. Warm introduction's always better than a cold one, obviously. And, I think LinkedIn is a fantastic tool. So again, it's that 6 degrees of, so if you get somebody who's kind of close, working at a similar company, hey, do you know anybody over at this other XYZ company? And if you can offer them something, in return, I think that's always a useful thing. So maybe you've gotten an introduction to somebody on LinkedIn, and you find this cool article. Hey, have you seen this article about whatever? So it's not necessarily just a one-way street. And if you are looking to make a connection somehow, let us know. We might be able to help. We have people all over the state who in different offices, and there may be something there where we can help you connect.
I'm curious, when you kind of, are doing this kind of like prospecting work on LinkedIn, reaching out to different people, like how much, especially if it's someone you don't know, like how much should it be kind of like pitching yourself versus like just trying to engage them, like maybe asking questions or trying to like learn about the company or specific role or something like that? Like what do you think is more effective? Because I would imagine if you're just like, your LinkedIn profile is basically your resume anyway. So if you're just like restating that, then maybe it could be off-putting. I don't know. I'm curious what your thoughts are.
I would say I would go more with the informational kind of thing, getting their opinion on something versus trying to pitch yourself. And once if you're starting to have a dialogue, or you're getting into conversation, maybe at the end of that conversation or after you've had a few exchanges, if it's written, then maybe put in a gentle hook. What do you think, Tamar?
Well, I think it's also not a bad idea to like start following people at companies that you're interested in. I don't mean stalking, but if they post something cool and you reply to them, then they're seeing your name, right? And it'd be cool if it's somebody in the department where you want to work, or, you know, a leader or an HR person. Getting HR contacts is really awesome. If you can get HR contacts, it's awesome. But definitely, like, see if you can sort of subversively create a relationship over social media, because they will look you up, Emily. They will look you up. You don't need to worry about selling yourself, because that's what the LinkedIn profile is about. So just like John said, make sure it's like as top notch and reflective of you and what you can do as possible. If you have any kind of portfolio stuff or your own little website, even if it's not great, but at least it shows something that you do, that also is good, because, you know, they're going to look you up. So you might as well, while they're looking you up, get whatever you can in front of them, you know, like if you've done a project that you're proud of. And sometimes it's hard. Like, you know, I've done a lot of work where I can't share what I do because it's proprietary, right? So that makes it hard. But if there are things that you can share that you're proud of, that'll make a difference too.
So maybe it's more about like finding some commonality or something, saying like, hey, so you did this, I did something similar, or like, you know, maybe you can, whatever, like maybe specific questions about like where you want to go, or like the company you're interested in.
Yeah. And sometimes if you know, say something along the lines, I wouldn't say use the word mentoring, or I'm looking for a mentor or a coach, but maybe I was wondering if maybe you could give me some advice about this, or I was wondering your thoughts on this, and have it be something kind of low key, not a big thing, a small thing.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so little exchanges, you know, sort of developing that rapport back and forth, you know. Maybe you have an exchange and I'm thinking about this. What are your thoughts? Or do you have insights on X? And hey, I found this cool thing over here because I'm thinking of doing whatever. All right, cool. So, being mindful of time here, we'll jump into the next bit. Portfolio. You know, hopefully with the research that you've done, you know, you've got a good handle on what companies are looking for, and it's helped you build a good resume and cover letter. So really, your resume is the ticket to the interview. So the more you can make it a great match for the job, you know, that line by line, point by point, addressing all the items that they listed in the qualifications. And then if there's other things that you want to add into the cover letter that, you know, maybe don't necessarily fit into the resume, but, you know, address the philosophy of the company or the mission statements, or specific reasons why you think, wow, this is why I specifically want to work at your at this company or this position. So those are your two sales tools. I also want to mention a formula that you can use, which is in your resume: verb plus accomplishment plus impact. So for example, I created a process for coordinating department projects. So there's your action. The verb is created. Created the process for coordinating department projects, which helped us cut out 2 weeks of meetings, 2 weekly meetings, saving 24 hours per week. So if you can show an impact that your actions have made, you know, that tells them, okay, you are really adding value to wherever you've worked in the past. Numbers are great, percentages. So cover letter and resume should really get across the message of I am someone who, and fill in the blank. It really identifies who you are. A couple of resources I have listed in the handout. One is zd.com. It's got some good examples of resumes, and there's one for cover letters. What was that? My Perfect Resume. Okay, that's another one I wanted to mention. It is a paid service, but the wonderful thing about that one is it gives you a lot of sample text, as far as, so if you put in a particular job, it will give you examples of wordings, ideas to include in there. So if you're a web programmer, maybe it's developing tight or elegant code that is very clean and reusable, or whatever it might be. So My Perfect Resume, even though you can look at the text that they use and pull from that without actually going through the final steps of downloading and paying for that. Although I think it would probably be worth it. So I'm rushing through this just a little bit here. So, and the cover letter should really be sort of the final piece of the puzzle, enhancing your resume, putting the final details on that picture, of who am I. And if you can record, maybe refer to awards or certificates that you've gotten, that's a really nice selling point.
I get this email called Resume Worded. Like I put my resume in and it like said, these points are strong, these points are, you need some work, and it'll give you like a score 9 out of 10 or whatever.
Oh.
So that's another one that's probably, I don't know, seemed free to me.
Yeah. What was it called?
It's just the emails from Resume Worded.
WORDED.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I will check it out.
Yeah. And I get like this one I pulled up, Career Supplement 145, tips about corporate culture and resume strategy. And it's got, I don't know, a bunch of junk, but well, not junk. It's like a bunch of links and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much information out there. It can be a little bit overwhelming, which is one of the reasons I've made that list of things that we've found to be useful and pretty good quality.
So anyway, I put my resume in and it said like, this part's strong, this part's weak, add some more here, and it was pretty cool.
All right,
so
I will check it out.
Checking out, yeah.
And maybe maybe I can add it to the list for next time.
Yeah, probably, yeah, maybe.
All right. Okay, so interview, again, preparation. If you're prepared, you've really already accomplished 90% of the work when it comes to getting into the interview. So hopefully you know about the company, you know about the position, you can talk intelligently about it. And I think a good tip is to always have some questions prepared for them. For example, I mean, here's kind of a cheat. You can ask, okay, what are you looking for in a candidate? And then you can address, okay, here's, oh, you're looking for somebody who's got great customer service. Okay, here's what I've done. But, rather than just wondering, come right out and say, what are you guys looking for? How can I, because I want to show you that I'm a good match, or that I've got those skills or characteristics. Hopefully you already know that going in, but maybe it's something that you haven't discovered. So I think that's a good question. Another question you might ask, what are the most important things to accomplish in this position in the first 90 days? So you're thinking about, you're showing them that you're thinking ahead and you're really interested and invested. What are the biggest challenges in this position? Okay. It just shows a level of thought and interest and investment in this position. And a lot of interviewers ask the same questions. So there's a top 10 interview questions that I'll put in the link, and I'll send that out to you folks.
And don't forget, you're interviewing them as well. As Emily said, if DEI is important to you, then ask about that, make sure that it's a good fit, and if they look at you cross-eyed when you say it, that's not going to be the right place for you, and it's better to know that in the interview than to, start day one and go, oh my goodness, what have I gotten into?
Yeah, if they say, what is DEI? So, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion, correct? Okay.
I was gonna say, what is DEI?
Emily, you knew that one, right?
I did, yes.
Yeah, frankly, it's a term that I learned not too long ago myself. In practice interviews, we're happy to do practice interviews, or grab your neighbor, grab your dog even, it just gives you a chance to go through it. Your dog's not going to judge you. So being prepared, it really makes a huge difference. It will give you that practice to feel confidence. And listen, listen to what they're saying, listen to what they're not saying. What's the meaning behind the words? Sometimes it just really listening will say, okay, they're saying one thing, but what they really mean underneath that is something different, and you can address that. Okay, so wrapping it up here before we take all day for you guys. So the main point here is that each of these steps of the process build on the previous steps. So your research is going to help you with networking. Your networking will help you make connections, help you develop a portfolio that is really tailored and tight. That's going to get you the interview. And the interview and your good questions and listening is going to bring it home and get you that job. So I hope this idea of sort of flipping things and thinking about it in a different way has been somewhat useful to you guys. Any final thoughts or comments or things that you wish we'd talked about?
No.
I mean, I think this is great. One thing that I'm always worried about is like the behavioral interview. So I think that's something that's always on my mind.
Yeah.
Best strategies.
Let's write that down for a future topic, because what we're going to try to do is set up some networking meetings regularly, every couple weeks, once a month, something like that. Because even among this small group here, you guys have heard each other say things that I think may have helped.
Yeah,
it may be
sure.
just a tiny thing. If you just get a small takeaway from any group, it's always going to be helpful. And so knowing topics that you're interested in for future presentations is also helpful. We want to be more communicative than we've been.
Yeah.
And I think anytime you can have a cohort where you're having a network and you're getting information from each other and, maybe learning about things that worked or didn't work, it's going to be helpful in the process for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think
thank you
that
for being our guinea pigs.
No problem.
So it's like, just one thing I want to say is like, so I apply for these jobs and it's like, okay, maybe I don't have all the points, but like I can learn, and it's just really frustrating that places don't want to give training anymore, it seems. They expect you to come in and hit the ground sprinting. And like, I'm a good employee, but I don't know everything and I can learn, but nobody cares. And then the other thing is like, yeah, culture's important. Yeah. But at some point I just need a job that will pay enough money, and it's like, I don't know. I don't know what point I'm trying to make with that, but it's just gets frustrating after a while, I guess.
Yeah, I
And-
think that it's hard to think about like what are you willing to like forego? You know what I mean? Because you're right. There's no position that's going to check 100% of your boxes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a good thing to think about. Like what is just prioritizing your,
Mhm.
things that are important to you in a job.
Well, I applied for one job where I forget, it was on one of the websites, and they then gave you a test. And I had done accounts payable for a hospital. I worked in that for 2 years, so I knew how to do accounts payable and what I learned there, the software and everything. But this test started to ask questions about accounting principles, which I didn't really have a formal, I didn't know how to answer whether accumulated depreciation goes into the something. And I knew that I wasn't going to get the interview because I just didn't have the answers. But I probably could have done the job if I had walked in and they said, here's the work. And within a couple of weeks, I probably would have been up to speed.
Mhm.
I mean, quickly.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know the feeling.
Yeah.
So those tests are obviously designed to weed people out.
Yeah.
Which I think is another good reason to emphasize the networking.
Yes.
If they
And-
know you and they appreciate who you are as a person, maybe they'll be willing to skip that, or maybe you'll find out different jobs that don't need that formal assessment.
Well, one idea I just thought of is if you see the test on the website and you know the name of the company, you just get in the car or go over to the company and then walk in and apply for a job. And you've gotten, sort of like you're getting your foot in the door that way, as opposed to doing it online.
Yeah, whenever I've done that though, the
Oh.
person that is like, oh, just apply online. What are you doing here in person?
Oh,
Like I've done that and it has backfired big time.
okay.
They're like, well, it was like I was an intruder. I was like, I saw this job, I'd like to apply. And they're like, yeah, apply online. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I did that, but I'm here now.
Yeah.
Sorry, just to interject. I have to hop
Yeah.
off because I have a meeting, but I just want to say thank you so much. And I look forward to any future webinars you guys host, because this has been very helpful. Thank you.
Did you find that tech
Thank you. We
website?
appreciate you joining us.
I did. It's called Dice.
Okay,
Good luck.
Dice. Yeah.
thanks.
All right.
So what was that? She was talking about dice?
Yeah. It's
What's-
a like tech, it's like a job posting site but it's tech specific.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
All right,
Thank you,
thanks,
Emily.
guys.
Take
care.
care, Emily.
Bye.
Good luck.
Bye.
All right.
That's what she was talking about at the beginning when she was
Yes.
like, oh, this is, yeah.
Okay. Another one I'll look at and see about adding to the list before I send it out to you guys. So again, your comments, Tom. If we can get an introduction from somebody who's in the company, I applaud your ambition, going there. And sometimes it's going to backfire. Sometimes it might work. But Tamara's comment earlier, you've got to be a little bit bold, and I think you were. So kudos, kudos to you on that.
Thanks.
It's not always going to work, but sometimes it might.
Yeah.
Have you gone to any job fairs? Like, have you had any success going to job fairs with your resume?
Oh, I haven't been recently, no, but like when I was fresh out of college, I would go. And I don't know, I guess at job fairs, it was a lot of jobs that I wasn't necessarily looking for, or I don't know. I guess I could try again. I went to one in St. Albans and that's how I got in contact with this company. It was some young kid who was doing the job at the time, like probably 3 years ago. And I don't know, it was just a lot of like factory jobs and like, the jail and like, not so much like dealer.com and like stuff like that,
So if you keep an eye on the Vermont State Department of Labor website or the Vermont Job Link, they will post information about upcoming job fairs. Another possibility to look at, keep in mind.
Okay.
And it's too bad Tech Jam is only once a year, because that was amazing. Tech Jam was amazing this last year. Just so you know, like I don't know what area you're looking in, but if you're looking for companies, like weirdly dealer.com usually hosts that, and they didn't this last time, but there were a lot of other people in there, especially in the Hula, Lakeside.
Yeah. I'm looking for like QA type stuff. Like I don't really know any programming, but I'm good at testing websites and programs and stuff.
Okay, it seems like I saw something like that recently.
I know the Noosk had a couple of QA jobs posted, and I'm saying Winooski. I think there was one at Physicians. Is that the one that you've applied to a whole bunch of times?
No, the one I applied to is at IXIS, IXIS.
Oh yeah.
ISIS, I don't know.
I don't know what they are either. It's HP. They chopped it in half and they made IXIS, and then they made another one, and so now there's two of them instead of what used to be HP. Like they just chopped it off and sold it. So like IXIS is the more like technology hardware part, and anyway.
Yeah.
I just used to work for HP, so I know that.
Okay, I know somebody who worked for one of the two HP things, so I'll try to reach out to them. All right, cool. Look, you're muted, Tamara.
And Phil, what you have that background in technology and programming back a ways, and then accounting, but what do you really want to do when you grow up?
Well, I need an income, and I'm living on a Social Security.
Exactly, that's my problem.
Yeah, it's hard. It's so hard.
My parents left me some money, but it's going to run out before I die. So I need to supplement my income. Yeah. So I'm not looking for going back into the race as, a sprinter. So I'll take a job that doesn't pay as much as I would have when I was younger, but some income would be nice. Yeah.
You have a couple of top preferences, or
well, the thing that I did is the last job I had that had any responsibilities when I worked for the accounts payable for a hospital, and I handled the in-house staffing, not the employees, but they would call agencies to bring in temporary workers, and so I handled all of that, and I also handled the pharmacy for the whole hospital, the whole health system. And that was a huge amount of invoices coming in for all the drugs the hospitals used. And I was the one who was handling the payments. So that's something like that. And I worked on the hot software at that time was called PeopleSoft, which was what I used. I also used some legacy software too. you know.
Okay.
And have you applied at UVM Medical Center at all?
I did. I haven't been looking lately. I'm just starting to get back into it because I had a few accidents, broken bones and things. But
Oh,
I figure come September, I'll start looking seriously for work, you know. And yes, I would look into that again because I did work for a very large health system in New York, on Long Island.
Long Island,
New
what is
York.
it? Langone?
No, it was North Shore LIJ Health System. It's now got a new name. It's called Northwell.
Yep.
Which, oh yeah, it's huge. Yeah, I think they have
That-
50,000 doctors.
That sounds like very transferable skills for UVM Medical Center, just so you know.
Yeah, yeah. I was.
And PeopleSoft experience is transferable to most CRMs. So I think that could work.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
and Tom, I'll take a peek and see what I see, if there's anything that I can send your way as well. And Phil, do you know about our CSEP program?
I heard of it. I think there was one in New York called Green Thumb, and I actually did that for a few years. That's where you go into a company and you don't get full. You're getting a base salary, but you're working sort of as a half volunteer and half employee.
It's training. It's training to
Training,
get
yeah,
you
it's
back into
training,
the
yeah.
job market. It's usually about 20 hours a week.
Yes, that's
It's minimum wage, so it's like $12.55 an hour to start. If that might be of interest to get you started again, let us know, because we could hook you up with that as well.
I would be. I did that in New York. I lived in Potsdam and I worked for the Red Cross until they closed the office. I worked for the North Country Regional Conflict Resolution, which was the mediation. And then those are just the two things I worked at. Yeah. And they were temporary positions, so they didn't last too long.
Yeah.
But they were, oh, and I also worked for the, SUNY Potsdam College. I worked in the mailroom, which was a lot of fun because I worked with, the people in the mailroom, but then I interacted with some of the students. So there was a lot of interaction with people. That was a fun job.
We run that program. You can go to our website and apply if you're interested.
Oh, okay.
And Tom, I was just thinking, have you considered doing any temp stuff? Just to, get some
Temp stuff?
temp work?
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to whatever.
Because I know there's a couple temp agencies here in St. Albans. You're in St. Albans or Milton or?
St. Albans, yeah. Temp like what? A deco, like?
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've worked through them. A deco is mostly like the industrial park stuff. I'm working at Hannaford's right now,
Okay.
but
So you're employed, you're just underemployed. You're not
Yeah.
where you want to be.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay,
living at
Um,
home, with my parents at 37. So,
it's rough.
yeah,
I hear that. I hear
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Okay, but now I have you in my mind. And what have you done for QA? Where did you work, or what did you do?
I worked at iSystems,
Mhm.
which is now something else.
Yep.
I worked at Allscripts, which is
Yep.
now something else.
Yep.
I worked at Dealer for a little while. I worked at venture.co most recently.
Okay,
That's it.
got it.
Before that, I worked at People's United Bank, wealth management, loan servicing. And before that, I did pension administration at Future Planning.
Okay, so you have a lot of experience.
Yeah. But it's a lot of it's like short stays, which isn't great.
Yeah. Well, we get these job postings all the time from the temp agencies. And every once in a while, there's an administrative one that's actually not bad.
Mhm.
So I'll also just peek through and see if there's anything recent that I can see that might be helpful to you. You're Tom Shaw, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I know I've emailed you a couple of times.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Do you have my
Okay,
resume? Should I send John my resume? Just,
We've probably got it, but if you got an updated one, just send it
I'll
anyway
just send it.
and we'll.
Yeah,
make
I'll
sure
send it
that
after this.
okay, all right.
Super.
So, just keep in touch and squeaky wheel, squeaky wheel.
Squeaky wheel gets cut off.
We'll do what we can to find you, what we can find. And if I have any ideas for people we can connect with or people you can reach out to, I will do that. Now, are you doing anything with real estate as well?
No.
Okay, I saw a Tom Shaw, because I'm also a realtor. And so I just saw, and I was wondering if it was you, but
No,
it's not. Okay.
not me.
Okay.
Well, if you're a Tom Shop, please stand up.
All right. So we probably have gone way over your
Oh,
time,
yes.
but you're in our minds, both of you. And definitely reach out. I think Phil CSEP might be a good stepping stone to, a new job. And it might help you, go through the process of getting ready. Unfortunately, Tom, that's 55 plus. So we'll have to figure
Not there
something
yet.
else out for you. What are you doing at Hannaford right now?
Cashier, customer service lead, like the person that checks IDs and the person that kind of tells people to go on breaks. But I just started, so I'm mostly just cashiering and bagging and stuff. I did it
Yeah,
in
I
high
know they
school.
have been desperate for people. So
Yeah.
at least, I know that at least it'll hopefully help a little bit to fill you in until we can find you something better,
Yeah.
but
But then do I put that on my resume? Because that's just another one of the little, non-professional jobs I've had. And I have a ton of those, not only what I told you, but I have a ton of other just,
Yep.
I
So,
feel you. I feel you.
you know,
I've been there.
yeah.
one way to get around that is with a
I have like a various category where I just list all the jobs I've had.
functional resume. So you talk
And-
more about
Yeah.
the different functions that you've done and then just list the last few jobs that you've had at the
Yeah.
bottom.
Yeah. Ron, I think, did this job before you. I
Ron
worked with
Redmond.
him. Yeah. I worked with him for a little bit.
Did he help you get the venture.co one?
No,
No, you did it your own. On your
Yep.
own. Okay. All right. I have both of you in my mind. I know Jonna does as well. Please keep reaching out. And if you've got that updated resume, send it our way. Phil, go on that website and apply for CSEP. We can also make a referral for you.
Okay.
So just, what town are you in, Phil?
I'm in Burlington.
You're right in Burlington. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can point you out to our program, our regional coordinator for that, for Burlington, and so then he'll know that we know about you.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Do you see the website listed in the chat, Phil?
What was the
It's just
website?
a4td.org.
Not very hard to.
Say that again? Oh, I see it.
a4td.org.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, A4TD. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for joining us. This was really good. Appreciate your participating.
Welcome. Yeah, it's been informative.
yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for doing it.
And, like I said, we're going to try to do more, and, the more